This lesson is on interval notation and inequality notation that we will use as we are solving linear inequalities. So before we solve, it's important to understand what a linear inequality is. It's basically just a statement like an equation, but instead of an equal sign, notice we're going to have one of these other signs. We've got a less than or equal to, a greater than, or a greater than or equal to. So it's exactly the same as, say, 2x equals, 5y minus 7. Instead, now we're going to say 2x is less than 5y minus 7. So it's the same idea that we had with an equation, but it's going to have an inequality symbol instead. Now, what's different about an inequality is that instead of having, say, just one answer or two answers, quite often, or all of the time really, you're going to have a whole range of answers. So if I get an answer that is x is less than 2, that means any number less than 2 could actually be plugged in and make the equation true. So that means I could plug in 0, I could plug in negative 5,000. So there's an infinite number of solutions, but they all have to be less than the value of 2. Those are all called solutions to the inequality, and of course we'll have a solution set. So just like we did before, we had a solution set. Typically it looked something like x equals the set of 5, or maybe the set of 5 and 9. But now we're going to have a set that is continuous. It's going to have a lot of solutions. So before we can start to solve, it's important that we understand what all of the different notation means so that we don't get confused when we're going through this. So take a look. There are three different types of notation, well, two different types of notation in the graph. So it's important that we kind of understand all three and how the three of those things fit together. So inequality notation, here's my first one. This means negative 3 is less than x is less than 5. So what really this one is I've got x is greater than negative 3, because notice the mouth is open to the x here and pointing at the 3. So if I rewrote it, it would be x is greater than negative 3 and x is less than 5. So really I'm looking at all of the values between negative 3 and 5. On a graph, that would be a negative 3 and a 5, and it would be shaded in between those. Now, notice there's no or equal to here, so this is just all the values less than. So the way that we do that on a graph is we do the open parenthesis. Same thing here. It doesn't include the number 5, because if I plugged in a 5, 5 is not less than 5, so we couldn't use the number 5, but we could use 4.9999999. So that's why we use this. This tells us that it's open and that it's up to 5, but not including 5. Now, interval notation actually uses the same open brackets like this, or closed brackets, which we'll get to in just a minute. So in this case, I would write negative 3, comma, 5, and it would be a parenthesis on each side. So what this means is all of the numbers between negative 3 and 5 are solutions, but not including negative 3 and not including positive 5. Now looking at the next one, negative 1 to 4, notice these brackets are closed. These are a different bracket, not the parentheses, but a closed bracket. This means negative 1 and 4 are both included. So in the inequality side, it's going to look the same over here, but now it's going to be or equal to. So negative 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. And then over here, negative 1 with the bracket, 4 with the bracket shaded in between. So all of the shaded stuff represents all of the different solutions that would work. Let's look at our third one. We have a bracket on the left side at 1, and we have an open parenthesis on the right side at 7. So interval notation means all of the numbers from 1 to 7, including 1 but not including 7, because this is a closed bracket and this is an open bracket. Inequality notation, that would be negative 1, positive 1. Got crazy with my negatives. 1 is less than or equal to x is less than 7. Next one, I have 4 is less than x is less than or equal to 5. Just a side note on this one, notice that whenever we write them like this, they're always less than. So you never ever write them continuously like that when you've got greater than signs. So let's take a look. We have 4 is less than x is less than or equal to 5. That 4 not included, so that's going to be a parenthesis. The 5 is included, so it's going to be a bracket. And I know it's included because of this or equal to. If the or equal to makes it a bracket rather than a parenthesis. And then I've got a 4 and a 5. Again, it's all of the numbers in between those two. The 4 is not included. The 5 is included. Sometimes, just in case you see it in another way, sometimes you might see this graphed with an open circle at 4 and a closed circle at 5. That means the exact same thing. Now we're getting into some trickier stuff because this means infinity. So this means 2 all the way up until forever. So there's really no end point, and because there's never really an end point, infinity is always, always, always an open bracket. So when I'm graphing that, this means I'm starting at 2, and it's then all of the numbers greater than 2 up until forever. So the 2 is a closed bracket, which means 2 is included, but then this goes on forever and ever and ever and ever in this direction. Inequality notation would be x is greater than or equal to 2, because it's all of the numbers that are bigger than 2. Now I know it's bigger rather than less than because we always put interval notation in increasing order. So from least to greatest, the 2 is the least, infinity obviously is the greatest. For my second one here, I've got a closed bracket on 0 all the way up to infinity, so that would be closed bracket, 0 to infinity, open bracket always on that infinity, and then this would be all of the numbers that are greater than or equal to 0. So again, greater than or equal to because it's a bracket rather than a parenthesis. Next one, x is less than or equal to 5. So now, instead of going the positive direction, now we're going the negative direction. So let's look at the graph first. I'm looking at 5 as my largest, and I'm looking at all of the numbers less than that. So what's my leftmost point that I would put here? It goes on forever in the negative direction, so we call that negative infinity. So negative infinity, comma 5, it's going to be a closed bracket because it's or equal to. Next one, negative infinity, comma 9, means the, forever in the negative direction all the way up to positive 9. This one is a parenthesis, so that's going to look like x is less than 9, not less than or equal to because it's an open bracket. Side note, I want you to notice here that this always goes, least to greatest, but notice here the x comes first, so I have a lot of people who put 9 as less than x or something. Make sure that when you're writing the inequality side, the x always comes first, unless it's in the middle because it's in a range. Last one here, notice this goes on forever and ever and ever. Interval notation would be negative infinity, comma, positive infinity. It's all of the values. And inequality notation, again, I would probably just use the same as the interval notation, just like that. So these are a few for you to try on your own and make sure that you understood that concept. First one here, I have an interval of 2, comma 5, both closed brackets. Inequality notation would be 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 5. My graph would be from 2 to 5, shaded in between, with that closed bracket on each side. So whenever we have it like this, remember it's a range from one number to another. Next one, I have 4 is less than x is less than or equal to 9. So on the interval notation, this side's open because there's no or equal to. This side is closed because there is an or equal to. Again, it's going to go from 4 to 9, open to closed, just like that. And the last one, I've got, it looks like a closed bracket on negative 4 shaded on forever. So inequality notation would be x is greater than or equal to negative 4 because it's all of the numbers bigger than negative 4. And over here, it would be from negative 4, that would be a closed bracket from negative 4 on to positive infinity, open bracket.